What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another one. Today, we're going to go over the trapping numbers over the last season. Uh, it was a little bit of a rough year, seemed to be that way for a lot of people, but we're going to break it down a little bit. I kept track throughout the entire year on a calendar on the days that I caught stuff, what I caught, how many I caught, and we're going to look at it. Going to be kind of a sad data set, to be honest. Didn't get a whole lot of coyotes this year, but it's still going to be a little bit interesting to look at. So let's dive right into it. So starting off with the first graph here, this is actually the graph from the entire year, everything that I caught. This goes from the early kind of nuisance portion that MDC started out this year, and it was for raccoons, possums, and skunks. So you're going to see a little bit of inflated numbers on that compared to what the traditional trapping season would be, which is between uh, November the 15th and February the 28th. So looking at this big pie chart here, if you can see, raccoons really took up most of the trapping this year. Granted, we were targeted them early portion, but 33 coons is what I brought in. Now, the later portion of the year, I wasn't targeting them really. Right and at the end I was, but for the most part, for the main portion of the season, wasn't going for them, but I was still catching them. So 33 raccoons. Of course, the raccoons come with the possums whenever you're running dog proofs. You got those 18 possums there. So raccoons and possums making up a majority of this chart here, followed up by some skunks there that happened by. We got the coyotes and the bobcat there. And of course, we had the unfortunate 3 stray dogs throughout the year there. So unfortunately, raccoons, possums, they're making up most of my catches this year. Now, that's probably why they're increasing the trapping seasons the way they are and the regulations that they are in Missouri. They actually even started another season whenever the new Missouri Conservation Catalog came out. From March 1 to April 14th, they're opening up basically a secondary nuisance season, and it's for raccoons, possums, skunks, and the addition of coyotes. Now, the stickler on that is it's only on private landowner property. So that'll be for those guys that are wanting to keep, the pests out of their turkeys. That's right there before nesting season, right there before turkey season here in Missouri. So they're trying to knock those numbers down best they can before those hens hit the nests. Now, coyote season, as far as hunting, is year-round, except for, I think, approximately 2 weeks in April, right around turkey season. And I think that's kind of lined up with whenever they're having a lot of puppies. So, moving on, we will check out what we have for the later portion of the season, which is whenever we were really targeting a bunch of other stuff. So, right there off the bat, I broke it down by the months. November, 2 raccoons. I started late in November this year. I seen the first catch on my chart. I can't remember the exact day I started trapping. The first catch was on November 25th, and it looks like those last few days of trapping in November, I caught 2 raccoons and 1 skunk, and then we got into December. December was a better month, although it does look like most of the catches that I had were on between the days of the 5th and the 10th. That week right in there, the 5th through the 10th, if I recall correctly, we had a big snowstorm right before then, and those animals were up and out after that. So, looks like we had 1 raccoon, 1 coyote, 2 possums, and then we also had the following week our bobcat, which that bobcat was nice to have. That was my first one, of course, I've said, and that was pretty much the highlight of the year. December treated me pretty well, even though most of it came wham right in 1 month period there. So rolling into January, early January, I had to go do my managed hunt, so I didn't even have traps out for the first probably a week or so. I set them off a couple days before I left, and then I went out of town for a couple days, and then set them whenever I came back, and got all my deer stuff fixed up there. And then again, it kind of seems like everything boom happened at once. Looks like I had three possums and two coons all in the same week, and that went through the span of January 16th through the 21st. Those possums and coons must have been up moving around, and I waylaid them, and it looks like a skunk followed up the week after that. So then we got into February, which I really started rocking more dog proofs in February. I also caught most of my unfortunates, stray dogs, caught two of them that month, and it looks like I got four raccoons, and then another single possum, single skunk, and then the two dogs, of course. So overall, if you look at this late portion season I have here, not good. Most of my catches for the entire year came during that early nuisance season, which you could say, well, that's what we were really wanting. I mean, the intended goal for those seasons are to manage the wildlife in a way that's productive. You're wanting to get those nest raiders out of there from ground nesting birds, to help out those populations. And ultimately, it looks like we succeeded in that. I also want to add on the caveat, I don't run a lot of traps. You can probably tell that just by my videos and the areas that you're seeing me go and catch these animals at. I would say probably a very, very large, like probably 95% of these catches in the late season here, they came probably from one trap. And that was the one at the water gap. So, I mean, that's where I caught my bobcat. That's where I got the coyote. And then I've caught a whole variety of possums and coons there and skunks. I caught literally everything that is listed on this chart. I caught in that one set, including the random dog. So that place was basically a stellar spot this year. Had I not had it, this chart would look a lot different. I wouldn't have probably hardly anything other than possums and coons on there. As far as foothold traps this year, I think I ran at one time, the most I had was like 9 traps out. I'm not a huge long line guy. I set very specific spots that I think will work. I have some success. I had to change it up a little bit this year from what I usually do. And that was just because the areas that I'm trapping, they're changing some of the scenery, the landscape, they're putting in fences, they're changing things. And they had crops planted that they didn't last year. So I was trying to be respectful and not tear up that. Even if it is just a small catch circle, it's still that much more money that I just tore out of the ground for them planting that stuff. Now, that being said, that was mostly for the late portion. That's what I was doing. Um, and during that early portion, when I was catching something like 22 coons, I think it was in the early portion, you can go back and check my very last video from that early portion. I gave a rundown at the very end of it. I think it was around 22 raccoons I caught. I was only rocking dog proofs on that. I mean, and I don't think I ran more than 5 at once. I had one break. Caught, or so I usually had 3. Uh, I caught a lot on those 3. One broke. I bought 2 more. So I was running on average through that entire season 4 maximum dog proofs. And if you watch those videos, once again, very select spots, and like I was hammering the coons. There's a lot of times I had double catches. I was catching very mature coons. I was catching very small coons. So you can do a lot of work with just a few traps. Granted, you look at this and you're like, man, Ethan, you had a lot of checks where, you were just walking out there for no reason. There was nothing out there. Well, yeah, that's true. I did. And if I had more traps out, I probably would have more catches. That also means more work, more time I'm taking up, more bait I'm using, and the current market and At least, I mean, I do this for fun. It's like I'm not gonna sell a ton of furs. These coons, I mean, there's 33. That's probably $30 or less. I mean, some of the prices right now are absolute trash. I do this for fun, management purposes, um, and I just enjoy being outside, so that's why I'm out there doing it. There you have it, everybody. That's kind of a quick layout and how my entire season went in one video. Uh, I know it's not super exciting, a lot of jabbering from me. I'll try and do better in the future. I'm going to try and do some more fun videos, but I also thought this would be interesting for some of you that out there trapping right now also. I'd really like to see some other guys do this, some guys that actually put up some real numbers, not just little bitty numbers like myself. I think it'd be pretty interesting. My original thought on this was to overlap the weeks that I was doing a lot of catches with a lot of like temperature changes. You could kind of forecast some, fronts moving through and seeing if there was any correlations with it. So that was my whole point of even keeping the track of the data of what we caught and when we were catching it. Maybe next year I'll keep where and maybe what lures or baits I'm using. I don't think that's going to be that big of a deal. I use a lot of pretty much the same thing throughout the years. Add in some different years, mix it up. Don't just let those animals get used to those same smells every year and associate them with the traps. So, got to keep them on their toes, got to keep them changing all the time. So, till next time, I'll see you in the next one. If you would, please leave me a thumbs up and subscribe if you'd like.